Hello, and welcome to the BBC News School Report 2017.
Broadcasting live from Mounts Bay Academy Media Studio.
I'm Harvey.
And I'm Tia, and here are today's news headlines.
Africa faces the biggest drought in years.
Teenage boy survives life-threatening car crash in Penzance.
Islam is set to overtake Christianity as the world's biggest religion.
Scotland demands new independence vote.
Headphones catch on fire during a plane journey.
Prince William parties during Swiss ski holiday.
A severe drought has threatened millions in East Africa. Crop harvests are below expected rates and food prices have doubled across much of Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia and neighbouring countries. The last major drought in the region in 2011 caused hundreds and thousands of deaths. The droughts are becoming more frequent and have become more intense, having more of an impact on the economies and livelihoods of the inhabitants of this region.
A teenage boy was thrown 25 feet in a bus stop crash in Penzance on Monday. Josh Ladd, 16, a former student of Mounts Bay Academy, was stood at the bus stop when a car smashed into it. The incident took place on St Clair Street near Causeway Head at 11:30 a.m. Mrs Ladd described the tragedy as an absolute nightmare. As her son was flown to Derriford Hospital, Josh suffered multiple injuries including a fractured leg, a punctured lung, a broken ankle and a broken collarbone. The 16-year-old was hurled down the road before being trapped by the broken bus shelter. No action has been taken against the woman driver and it will take at least a month for him to recover. A crowdfunding appeal has been set up to support Josh and his family.
Now we go over to Eleanor to have a look at today's sports news.
On Saturday, we have the final matches of the Six Nations Championships. Ireland play England to see if England can win the Grand Slam, France play Wales, and Scotland play Italy. Here at Mounts Bay Academy, we are very excited about the England-Ireland game, as our own Jack Nowell will be playing. Leicester City are the only Premier League team left in the Champions League. Craig Shakespeare's side overcame a 2-1 first leg deficit to knock out Seville and book their place in the last 8 on Tuesday. Both Arsenal and Manchester City crashed out, however, conceding 16 goals in 4 last 16 matches between them, while Tottenham went out and at the group stage. Anne Dunham, Paralympian equestrian medalist, announced her retirement this week after a 23-year career where she won 5 gold medals in the Paralympic Games since 1996 and an individual gold in Beijing in 2008, starting with her first Paralympian Dressage World Championships in 1994. Dunham won 32 major medals, including 19 golds. Now we go back to the big stories in today's news with Tia and James.
Thank you, Eleanor.
Islam will take over Christianity by 2070. One projection claims that Islam is to become the world's largest religion in 2070. In 2010, Indonesia had the largest Muslim population, but India's will be larger by 2050. India will still be a majority Hindu nation though. The Christian population in the UK and France will drop below 50%, and 10% of the people in Europe forecast to be Muslims in 2050. 4 out of every 10 Christians in the world will live in sub-Saharan Africa. In the United States, 1 in 50 people will be Muslim by 2050.
Theresa May is expected to refuse a new Scottish independence referendum unless it is held after the UK leave the EU. The Scottish Secretary and other UK government sources indicated on Wednesday that the Prime Minister was prepared for a drawn-out battle with Nicola Sturgeon, government over the referendum's timing and the question that will be asked. Sturgeon revealed on Monday she wants to hold the referendum between autumn 2018 and spring 2019, ideally before the UK formally signs a Brexit deal expected in late March 2019.
Now it's time for a look at the weather forecast with Faith.
It will be cloudy in the west of England and Wales, with showers heavy at times in Scotland. Northern Ireland will be dry but overcast. The best of this evening's weather will be in London and the south-east. Overnight, the rain and cloud will clear to leave some clear spells. But breezy winds should keep temperatures up and prevent a frost. Tomorrow, after a dry and chilly start, with some bright spells, cloud will increase through the morning, with patchy outbreaks of rain later in the afternoon. There will be strengthening westerly winds. Now, let's go back to James and Harvey for more news.
Thank you, Faith.
Also in the news today,
A passenger on a flight from Beijing was burnt when her headphones caught alight. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau said that they heard a loud explosion about 2 hours into the flight. The passenger was snoozing when the headphones exploded. This has happened to the Samsung Galaxy Note 7. When some will explode when charged, they both use lithium-ion batteries, and when they get hot, they can blow up.
Prince William has skipped a Commonwealth event for a skiing trip. While the rest of the royal family were at a Commonwealth Day event, Prince William was on a boys' ski trip to Verbier, Switzerland. He has been caught on camera dancing in a Swiss nightclub. His wife, Catherine, was believed to be at home looking after Prince George and Princess Charlotte. The incident has led some tabloids to question his work ethic in the royal family.
Now it's time for a look at the newspapers with Henry.
The Times is leading with May forces Hammond into U-turn over budget, with a large picture of Philip Hammond and a side headline of Dutch voters halt revolt as far-right fails election test. Next, the Daily Telegraph has a headline, Hammond's humiliation, with the top half of the page covered with a picture of Hammond. The Metro has a headline of Hammond egg on his face over a large picture of Philip Hammond's face. The I newspaper has the headline of Hammond humiliated above a picture of Hammond closing a door.
Thank you, Henry.
And finally, it's our And Finally section to look at the more light-hearted stories from today's news.
Let's go over to Asha.
Thank you. We end the programme with some light-hearted stories to make you smile. And finally, some people say if you drop something on the floor and pick it up within 5 seconds, it's still okay to eat. But is this safe? Well, food safety expert Professor Anthony Hilton from Aston University says the so-called 5-second rule is usually correct. He says that if food hasn't been on the floor for a very long time, it won't have time to pick up harmful bugs and become contaminated. It can also depend on what type of food is dropped and how sanitary the surface is. It's actually worse to eat food dropped on a smooth surface rather than from carpets, as maybe more harmful bacteria are transferred when things drop on them. Things like toast, biscuits and pasta, scientists say, might be okay, but if it's sweet, sticky or covered in dirt, you're out of luck. A professor went viral after his children interrupted his live television interview. Professor Robert E. Kelly was live on air when his daughter and his baby son barged into the room. The professor tried shooing them away, but was unable to get up, as was only dressed for the interview from the waist up. His wife ran in and removed the children. Now back to Harvey and James for the headlines.
Here are today's news headlines.
Africa faces biggest drought in years.
Teenage boy survives life-threatening car crash in Penzance.
Islam is set to overtake Christianity as world's largest religion.
Scotland demands new independence vote.
Headphones catch fire during plane journey.
Prince William's parties during Swiss ski holiday.
That's all for this year's BBC News School Report, live from Mounts Bay Academy.